taking a little bit of time here just to go live on YouTube. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Oh, there we go. Now it's redirecting. All right, welcome everyone. April Cox here. We are live on YouTube and also live here on Zoom for open Q&A. This is Self-Publishing Made Simple, and I'm here to answer all of your self-publishing questions. So join me on YouTube, or if you prefer, you can go to aprilcox.com/events, and it will be redirecting you over to our Zoom session, and you can join me live. So I'm just going to open up for questions. Barbara, you were here first. Anything specific you have a question about today?
Well, I had sort of bombed out at my first attempt at a podcast, and maybe you could just, give some good pointers on doing a podcast that I'm going to try and redo. How's that?
Okay, so you're talking about when you say a podcast, so tell me a little bit more about what you're thinking.
This is the one with readingwithyourkids.com with Jed.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so you're going to have an interview.
Yes. And so I started one and sort of bombed out and asked if he would be kind enough to let me do another one, which he said it was okay. And I didn't know if maybe you just had some quick pointers as to what to do.
Okay. So when you say you bombed out, are you saying that you as an interviewee you weren't happy with the performance?
Yes, pretty much. I wasn't. I guess what I was trying to do is I was trying to read from notes, and he basically told me you need to be more natural and, don't expect questions, just, already have something in mind to say.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time, Barbara, it really boils down to just trying to be yourself. And it's when I look back at some of the early videos and interviews that I've done, I stumbled on my words. I still do today. And, but I'm imperfect. I'm just human. But whenever I try to read notes and things like that, if you're reading notes that are, more detailed than they need to be, that can be very distracting. So I would say practicing with others as just being able to answer questions about your book, what's important about your book, where did the idea come from, some of the things, and the more we practice that in front of other people, could be people we meet or run into at the post office or other things, family, friends, where they just say, oh, what have you been up to? And you can talk about your book, talk about what you've been doing, what makes you excited. And the other thing I would say is, if you can do anything ahead of time to just do a little bit of deep breathing and get help to try to get rid of any kind of stress, because that anxiety and a rapid heart rate will just definitely cause issues and may be much harder for you to give an interview that's really a positive interview that reflects you the way that you want it to be. For me, going for a walk and then doing some deep breathing really helps calm me down if I've got something that's coming. Practicing walking through some of the points that I want to have. And then also I try to write maybe just 3 or 4 bullet points and kind of like drape them over my computer screen where it's just, a few words that reminds me to talk about certain things that I really wanted to talk about. I hope that's helpful.
It
I wasn't
is.
sure if you were saying you were starting
Yes.
a podcast.
No.
So
But
yeah, the
thank
other
you.
thing too is just go live on with your phone and hit the record button, or go live on your computer if you have Zoom, like most of us do, right? Set up a free account on Zoom and just record and start talking. And you can always go back and revisit, or stop for a moment and start again. The more you do it, the more you practice, and the more you see yourself on video, not just talking, but actually record yourself, the more that you'll have an opportunity to kind of see, oh, well, I've got this habit. For me, it's this with my hands. I talk with my hands and I do all kinds of stuff with my hands. And I'm like, I try to remember to keep my hands down because it can be really distracting. I also have a bad habit of saying and ah and all those filler words, which are easy to edit out after the fact. But when you're going live and doing something like this, you have to try to really stop and think without saying those ums and ahs. And it's not easy. It's just a lot of practice. But most importantly, Barbara, give yourself some grace, because public speaking does not come easy to very many people. And there's a lot of people, myself included, that feel like that is the biggest fear of their life, above fear of dying, is getting up in front of people and talking. So you will definitely have to be brave and push yourself outside your comfort zone. But good for you for getting out there and doing it. And then being comfortable enough to say to your interviewee or interviewer, you know what, I don't really like how this went. Do you mind if can we have a do-over? I mean, good for you. Good for you. And happy to have you. Would you like to take a moment and talk? I'm going to pull you forward. Here's a great practice option for you.
Okay.
So Barbara, tell us a little bit about your book. What is it about?
My book is about my grandson, Mason, and he has inspired me to write this book. And it's on Have You Seen My Sock? And throughout the book, it's an adventure, a rhyming adventure, where he is looking for his favorite dinosaur sock. And he asks help from his mom and dad and the different animals to help him find his sock. And
so you were inspired by your grandchild. I feel the same. I write with and for my grandkids. If for those that are looking for a great read for their books, what is the age group that the book is for, and what do you have any specific like things that can really stand out about how this book helps kids? What specifically is special about your book that would help children?
It's for ages 3 to 7. And it is, this is where I'm about to bomb out. It is basically a rhyming book, and it has repetitive words. Don't use that during the interview because I'll mess it up.
But the repetition is good for kids. It's very good for kids. And rhyming helps with language skills and things like that. If I remember correctly too, don't you have like some hidden things around in the book as well? That's fun for kids.
Yes, there are different socks. And so they can find a sock on each page. And then at the very end, there's like a little seek and find where you can help, find Mason's dinosaur sock.
Barbara, you did a great job. Good job. I know it's scary to do, and it's okay if anybody else wants to talk about your book or you have a question for me. Feel free to raise your hand or just post it in the chat, and we'll bring you up. Let's see, what do we got? I'm just also going to just connect here on.
Thank you so much, April.
Yeah, you did a good job. Just practice, keep practicing, just keep coming, and keep writing also, because the more that you can continue to create and grow your brand, the more you're going to have to talk about. Even better. All right, who else has a question for today? Let's see. Go ahead, Angela. I see your hand up, and then we'll go to you, John.
Hello, everyone. I'm just wondering if any of you, probably like me, you have bits of pieces of information, like you screenshot, you know, this editor, this, you know, join here, do this. I've just got my desk full and my computer full of pieces of information, and I haven't found a system of how to organize it, because I wouldn't even know, I feel, how to even put it all into alphabetical order, or to find what, you know, what I've think may be a useful tip for later on.
So are you trying to capture information about self-publishing and trying to learn something new? Is that what this is all about?
I mean, I've self-published quite a few books, but it just might, yeah, I guess it is. It's, as we know, it's just a never-ending plethora of information. But I suppose maybe if it's too much, you just have to stop and just, because it's like, when do you get too distracted, but you're not actually working on what you need to work on to market your book?
Right, right. Well, there's definitely, I find myself also getting kind of the shiny object syndrome, where I get sidetracked and I get pulled away from those things that I'm trying to accomplish. And so one of the things that I recently started doing, I'm going to share this little software, whether it's something on a Gantt chart, you know, or a checklist, or something that you work on separately. There's a great help to have things that you are going to just do every day, or go into and track the task list for what you're doing. So I'll just share this one that I'm using. And a lot of people use Excel. So I've been working with, for example, this is one of my authors' projects, where we start just kind of going through all of the things that we want to accomplish and putting it here in this software. Like I said, this could be Excel. This is called Team Gantt, GANTT.com. It's just, it's a project management software. We put in the list of what we're doing. Again, you could use Excel, you could use Asana, you could do, and another one that I absolutely love using to kind of organize my mind and pull a bunch of things together in one place is called MindMeister. Let me just see if I'm going to stop the share for a second, and I'll pull up one of my mind maps that I typically use. And that will give you a little bit, let's see, here's one.
I seriously think someone needs to write a book about how to be organized as an author.
Yeah. So here's, you're right. This one, and it kind of depends on how your mind works, right? So I'm going to just zoom this in. I love the idea of taking, this is just one, I was working with somebody and we were just brainstorming about a whole bunch of stuff. And I said, let me just throw it into a mind map. And so we had marketing ideas. Then we started talking about a schedule. And this is just the kind of thing my mind can go in all different places. And MindMeister, which is Meister.com, is a free tool. You can have up to 3 mind maps. And if you like it and you decide you want to have more than that, you can add, you know, it's I think $10 a month or something if you wanted to subscribe to the tool and have more. But what I really like about it is you can also add links, you can add images. So for example, like you were saying, oh, I've got, you know, a shortcut to something, and then I've got an image over here, and I've got all kinds of different things together. So you're able to kind of come in here and you can add an attachment. You can add, drag and drop things. You know, if I say, oh, I want to do promotions, I'm going to pull them out over here. And then I've got all of these different promotions. And now I want to do, I want to add links to it or whatever. You can just, you're able to then continue to add to and allow your mind to be as disorganized as you want it to be, and then kind of drag like things together and kind of group it. And so this is one thing I find, this is one of the things that I absolutely love to organize myself. And then with project tasks and activities, I might put those into some sort of project management software so that I can assign people, and then it will tell people, April assigned you to this task. This is the day it's due. And it's going to remind those people that it's, they have a task due for me on that day. And if it's overdue, they get an email saying that it's overdue. So it just helps me with keeping my self-publishing projects on track as well. So I kind of use a bit of both of those kinds of things.
Oh, I love that one. That looks amazing. And you can share it with other people.
Yes. And I can share like some of the mind maps and things I can share, and you can have co-authors working on these things together as well.
Thank you. That's fantastic.
Good. I hope that's helpful. Go ahead, John.
Good evening. I appreciate you allowing me to chat with you for a bit. I apologize also for being a few minutes late.
No worries.
I'm in the process of developing 5 manuscripts, all between the ages of 5 and 8, 8.5 is kind of the target market, as well as focusing in on various aspects of the arts, opera, ballet, symphonic music, musical theater, and museum art. Central character through all of that, which is a duck-billed platypus. And I have, of the 5 manuscripts, 2 in versions where I've outsourced them to story editors and they've given me feedback, and then 3 in various stages of evolution.
Love it.
My conundrum, and I don't know if this is the right forum or not, is the commentary that I've gotten back from people who have read is show, don't tell.
Okay.
And I hear it all of the time in all of the stuff I'm reading regarding children's books, and I'm stuck. I'm stuck between my relationship with my illustrator, who I've hired to do my work. We're fine tuning what that the imagery is consistent for both of us. But how do I make that editorial convergence to the editor or to the illustrator, who can show better than I can tell, because the way that I'm going to tell is going to be not what anybody is saying I should be doing. Does that make any sense?
I'd love to see an example, but maybe as you're thinking about the example, one of the things that I want to bring up, and it's a common mistake that a lot of people make, is jumping to illustrations before you have your story locked down and finalized. So it sounds like you may have not quite finished the editing, the professional edit, and you're already working on illustrations. Does that sound about right?
I have an illustrator trying to find his voice, for lack of a better term,
okay,
consistent with my vision of the character.
Okay. So
and
examples and different things like that.
Just also the general look. I'm looking for a very different quality, and so far we haven't met yet, but we will.
Okay.
I'm confident that his artistic skills will come to the point where I'm comfortable.
Okay.
So the manuscripts as they are, let me ask a very direct question, because you have a variety of coaching sessions.
Yes.
Different levels, different volume, different pricing. In the editorial process where I think I'm describing that I am, are any or all of those coaching sessions going to help me move forward? Is it going to be editorial kind of co-writing sort of thing, or is it going to be, well, why don't you tell me what?
Yeah. So I'm happy to answer that question. So my expertise is not editing, although I am a children's book author, and I can read your manuscript, give you ideas, give you feedback. I'm not like a come along and write with you kind of person. That's not my expertise.
Yeah.
I usually, and I have a fantastic network of editors, illustrators, designers. I would say I'm a collector of people, a builder of networks that as I pull all of this together, which is my project management background and my publishing background,
Sure.
I'm able to help you go through the complex process of putting all of this together and getting your book published in a way that's going to help you not waste time, not waste money. Normally, if you came to me with these illustration issues and the writing part of it, I would first of all read through the manuscript, give you some feedback, but also be pointing you to my favorite editor. If it's a picture book, first of all, does it rhyme?
No.
Okay, it's not a rhyming book. I would be pointing you to Bobby Hinman, who is my absolute favorite picture book editor. And I'm just going to put her contact information here in the chat. It is fairybooklady@gmail.com. She's literally written the book, 2 books on publishing and on writing and publishing picture books. So she is very well versed, 3 decades in writing, editing, publishing, and she is a best-selling children's book author herself. So what Bobby will do is take your manuscript, work with you to kind of let you know where she sees some issues, but she's going to, I always tell her she waves her magic fairy wand because all of her books are fairy books. So she waves her magic fairy wand, and then my manuscript, which is a good, okay, so manuscript, becomes something that's much better. She gets rid of extra words because I do a lot of telling instead of showing, and I am much more verbose than I need to be. And I don't even miss the words. And I'll be like, hey, there's 300 less words in this manuscript. I don't even miss them. She helps to take that manuscript and just preserves your voice and allows that story to shine. So that's where I would be guiding you to her. And then the other bit of what I normally do during this process is I recommend that you don't just go with one illustrator, but actually reach out to 3 different illustrators. And I have a list of illustrators that are pre-vetted by me.
Mhm.
They accept my custom contract that I've developed and I share with all of my students.
Mhm.
It will ensure that you actually have ownership of the artwork. It's a work for hire contract. It protects you, make sure that everything is in order. But I always recommend 3 because you are able to first start with just one scene or one character and really go through this process of seeing which, first of all, identify what that is. Here I go with my hands again, Barbara. I'm going to put them in my lap. But identify what is the important scene or what is the important character. Describe it. Just put a few paragraphs together around what's important. What kind, what is the character? If it's a child, you said it's what did you say? A platypus?
It's a duck-billed platypus.
Duck-billed platypus.
And I have a bio of JoJo and
right.
kind of the sustenance to begin the illustration process.
So that's what I would do is I would put that together and then talk about what setting you want this sample to be created in. What is this platypus doing? What kind of emotions are involved in this sample that you want? And all of my illustrators will have already agreed that when somebody from April comes to them and says, I want a sample, they know that's what I tell all of my people. Go get 3 samples. Here's a list of my pre-vetted illustrators.
Yeah.
And they'll charge you $65 for the sample for a full color sample. You'll give that same instruction to 3 different illustrators, and then you'll see go through the process. They start with a sketch, they come back, get the feedback from you, they'll adjust it. You get an opportunity as you're working through a sample to decide, to see how their communication is, how well do they stick to their timeline of when they said they would do things. When you ask to do something, do they understand what you're asking for? Do they communicate well back to you? Those kind of things. And then in the end, you get 3 different versions of what you're looking for, and you can try to figure out which one has typically gets it, instead of trying to only go with one and you may be missing out on something truly extraordinary.
I understand. Thank you very much. It is extraordinarily helpful. May I ask you, I don't mean to capitalize the time on
No, sure, feel free.
On the email, it showed a variety of coaching or counseling or support services.
Yes.
Could you differentiate the scope, depth, and breadth of each of those? So from someone looking for another step up,
Right.
How that might pertain.
Yeah, so normally there's a few different ways that people work with me. Some authors will come to me and they'll be part of my author work group. I have a 12-week program that it will probably be coming back in January, where we have a bunch of people all working on picture books together. And we go through this process. I've got a course online. But there's also a component of that where we meet twice a week, we get together and we go through lessons. We talk about any questions that they have, and they get the hand holding in a group setting. So that's kind of one way that I work with people. Another is one-on-one through coaching sessions where I'm just coaching, answering questions, helping to guide people in the same way that I just talked about for your editing and illustration. That could be one part of a session, of a coaching session. Other people might use that coaching time for things like marketing. Okay, can we brainstorm about marketing ideas? A lot of people will use that coaching time for because they're setting up their files on Amazon or Ingram Spark, and they don't know what they don't know. And then I have a third kind of people that just say, I want to come to you. I want somebody that I can trust that will just walk me through, that will just take the book and just do it for me, right? So there's a done for you kind of component, which is much more white glove. When we're getting together meeting, it's not me saying, hey, John, so did you get your homework done? So, how did it go with your editor? Do you have the samples back from the illustrators? I would be saying, hey, John, I've got, the editing we've got the first round of feedback from your editor. Let's look at that together. So it's me going through the process. We're looking at things, but it's me driving the whole thing and going through and actually doing the publishing for you, with you still being able to meet and of course provide feedback all through the process. But that's me taking care of that and for you and with you. And I do that with more customized. Some people will say, can you wrap up and put a package together that includes the illustration and the design and the formatting and all of the things in one package. So that's where I'll just meet with someone, understand fully what they need, and then put coaching along with those other services that I subcontract to my network and work through that together.
Do you then become the co-author?
No, absolutely not. Everything that's created for you is you are your own publisher. It is self-published.
Yeah.
I also recommend that you're the one that owns the ISBNs, right? You purchase them instead of creating free ones.
Right.
You're the one that owns the licensing. We make sure that we walk through copyright of all of your material, both the text and the illustrations, and it is completely the author's. If we're setting up an account, it's your account. It's not, something that you don't have access to. So everything that I do is always to empower the author so that they have ownership of everything and access to everything, with me and my team supporting every step of the way.
And one of those categories is that process, or that encompassing process that you just went through. And that's how you're compensated for your time, energy.
Exactly. Yeah. So my coaching, and as I'm pulling other people in, I just pass through. If, for example, if Bobby Hinman is going to do editing for your project, I will just add what her fee is, and you can say either, hey, I'll pay that separate, or yeah, please fold it all in, and I'd rather deal with one person and let you subcontract all the rest.
Excellent. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
People can chime in. Thank you very much.
And Leslie's here. Leslie, I see your hand is up. You've gone through this many times with me. So if you have any feedback or things to tell John, feel free.
Absolutely, John. I mean, I started this process 2 years ago with April. I did the course, and then slowly I got released. So I did too, but I bought extra coaching. But I will say, like, the ISBNs, just in a quick thing, she touched on it, don't buy them from Amazon. And thankfully, I bought 100 of them way back then, 2 years ago, because I've used them, because each version of your book has a different ISBN. And you said you have 5 different manuscript things going. So that's just down the road, but something I would say. And definitely take her up on that contract, for the illustrator, have the illustrator sign the contract so you own the illustrations. They do the work. My first 2 books that I did kind of at the same time, I was a little bit shy about pushing back, but now I've finished my 3rd and the 4th one. The illustrator and I are going back and forth, but it's kind of fun because they do the line art. I've selected one illustrator that I use. Well, it's a multitude, but I would just back her up on all of that. And there's so many things in the 2 years that I've known April that her business company has grown, in the sense that she's got so many different people that you can reach out to now that she's vetted, and I trust the people. So I think you'll find that if you end up working with her, it's definitely worth it. I was just confused in the beginning because I definitely, when April asked you about the editor, an editor should definitely be looking at it. I know it sounds like you already started the illustration process, but I don't know, as a somewhat amateur, I would definitely back that up and, make sure. And sometimes it's hard because they're cutting words, but at the same time, like with Bobby Hinman, I've worked with her on all 4 of my books. She comes up with ideas I didn't even think of, and I don't have to use them, but sometimes I have. So it's good. So
I agree.
The illustrator hasn't bootstrapped me at this point, and part of it is I'm still struggling to get to the point where we still have the same vision of my character. My character I have is a kind of a soft, lovable, kind of an Elmo-ish type of character, and he hasn't gotten there yet. So we're working, but it's not curtailing my element of writing.
Okay.
We haven't gotten to the point where we're arguing about language, and there are things that I can identify that really can be illuminated through illustration. And so I put that in a side text or a sidebar that says for illustrator benefit.
Right.
But I'm still stuck. and maybe, April, I'm going to follow up with you prior, not taking tonight's time.
Yeah, I'm happy to. And if you want to continue to stay after this, so we go from my regular open Q&A for everyone, where I'm live on YouTube, and then I'll stop that streaming, and then I continue for an additional hour for those that are with me here. Most of the folks here are part of my mastermind group, so I continue for additional time. So if you want to continue to hang out, or you want to grab some time on my calendar and do some one-on-one stuff, I'm happy to do that.
I'm more inclined to do that, just because of my constraints. But both of you, thank you very much. I so very much value this input, because for the most part, I work in isolation. Besides the fact I lost my wife 6 months ago, I don't have anyone to bounce these things off of, other writers, and that's probably the greatest springboard to greater insight. And I appreciate the input.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the other areas that I didn't really touch on, but the mastermind group that we have has probably a couple of dozen different options for drop-in meetings every week. And do things
Yes.
like this, where we get together and people, you know, it might be around a specific topic, or just open Q&A, drop in and or, you know, whatever the topic is of the day. Every Monday we do Marketing Monday. So getting into a group like this is very helpful. Happy to offer you or to follow up with you and just check out the mastermind group. You'll get a 30-day trial. Just sign up and see if you like it. There's so many different options to drop in and to be a part of this group and really connect with amazing authors like Leslie.
Thank you both very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks.
Leslie,
April.
did you have a question as well for yours?
Interesting. My daughter bought my book, or her mother-in-law, anyways, my new one, Problems in the Ocean, Sea Glass Kids. And she just sent me a video of it. They opened up the book. It's my cover, but it's a different book inside.
That happens occasionally with print-on-demand printing.
But I was like, and it's kind of a darker book. I mean, it's still a picture book, but anyways, they contacted Amazon, but that just has me slightly terrified that they're not putting too many of them out there that are wrong.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it does happen, these strange things you'll see reported, and you know, print on demand can get a bad rap for things like that. It happens very small percentage of the time, but it
never
does.
happened to me before. I see
Yeah.
that Jenna Beth is, I don't know if she's here, and I will tell people that,
Mhm.
you know, I use her company, or she represented me for offset printing. So those books are coming like within a week or two.
Right.
When I first came in, you guys, I think I have my Meister. I got to go back and look. But all I was going to say probably was a different thing. But, you know, I had hired Holly from Red Ribbit Design, and she put together my press kit. And I will say that helps me. You know, when it came on, Barbara, you were, you know, doing a promo for your book, but this thing is so fabulous that I gave her the text, obviously, but she put it together and says it much better than I would have.
Mhm.
But I have that to spring from now, you know, as I go into different places. So that's just another one of those things I think that's worth, depending on where you are with your book. But for me, I'm ready to promote it more. So
Yeah, great. That's a great suggestion, Leslie. Okay, thank you for sharing. All right, Debbie, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that April has saved my butt. She's made my world so much easier to navigate. My girlfriend, she started doing the same thing I was doing, and she surprised me. She says, "Oh, I got this publisher." Well, she got the publisher and she lost the rights to her book.
Mhm.
And she published it a year ago, and she's cleared $100, but she's still $4,000 in the hole. So, and she doesn't have her rights, and the artwork sucks. So going with April is a tremendous safety net.
Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. And your illustrations are gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And did you see that Glazer got back to us? So that's for your website stuff, right? So she is going to have something to share with us later today. So her today, our probably tomorrow before we'll see something, but we'll get that all set as well.
I did, Holly sent me a sample cover of my book. And she says it's a sample, but I love it.
Yeah. Do you want to share the cover? You can feel free to share if you like.
I can.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Victoria, I'll come to you next, my dear.
No worries.
Now look at that gorgeous illustration work. This is one of my favorite illustration companies, and they do a lot of work. They did all of Leslie's books. They did for Debbie here. Debbie, this is beautiful. I was saying earlier in another meeting when you shared this, I love how Bigfoot, we see Bigfoot there putting his head between the O and the T. So it kind of sees it, you know,
Yeah.
you've got that interaction between the character and the title, which I kind of like a lot. Isn't this adorable, guys? I just love the illustrations for this book, and I love what you've done inside as well, Debbie.
I really enjoy working with Holly.
Beautiful. Awesome. Yep, we have a great team. So did you have any other questions, Debbie, for or we're just sharing? And I love that you sing my praises. I really love that. So thank you for jumping up and raising your hand. But you guys
my
too.
questions were kind of answered all in the Zoom with the podcast and the Zoom, because I want to do a lot of that type of marketing, but not podcast so much, but just in front of a camera.
Yep, just keep practicing. So why don't you take this time to then practice a little bit and tell people about your book? You just showed the cover. What's special about this book, and who are you writing for? What age group?
It's going to be between I'd say 5 and 10. And I don't know, you may not have heard my story, but I didn't learn how to read till I was like 32. I have a high school diploma with a 2nd grade reading level. So that was my life. And being dyslexic, I have dyslexia. And so it just made things complicated for me. And I never dreamed that I'd be writing a children's book, because I could never read one to my children. And my kids and my grandkids have always encouraged me to write down my stories, because I became a storyteller. I worked at a private school, and we had a preschool, and we went all the way to 4th grade. And I worked in all those classes and ran the school for 2 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the afternoon. And we had 135 kids, and nobody knew I couldn't read, but or read very well. So my grandson, he would spend the night with me, and he would at midnight want to play Bear and Fox. And so this is kind of based off that story. I don't remember what adventures we went on, because Grandma just wanted to hibernate. And it's a story about the animals that are in this forest, and they're all between that 5 and 10 years old. And so they don't have a care in the world, and they just run around, cause chaos. The ranger tries to keep them in control, and they wonder not if Bigfoot lives in the area. And this is about a legend of Bigfoot, and it goes back to the 1700s. And Raylan Cooper, he was a pioneer. He's made up, but he was a pioneer in the area, and a map maker, explorer. So it's his adventures and his run-in with Bigfoot.
I love it. What a great job you did, you guys. Isn't that awesome? You did a perfect interview telling about your book, your story. And I'll tell you, your unique challenges with reading and the way that you're interacting, and you've created these stories for your grandkids, and that how they inspired you, and now you're doing this for kids. That is incredible. That is gold. And I think that's going to resonate with a lot of people. Thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful. Very well done.
Well, thank you.
All right. So let's see. Go ahead, Victoria. Let's bring you up.
Okay, well, I have 4 questions. And first one is about returns. When there are returns from Amazon or Ingram, where does it really come from? I'm strictly talking about the hardbound book, because Ingram is the one that does the hard copy. And I know Amazon lets everybody return anything and anything at any time. Is it coming then? I always blamed Ingram, but I'm wondering if the blame is really Amazon, because they allow people to return books.
Yeah, that's a good question. Unfortunately, Ingram doesn't tell us who returned them. But we get to decide when we're setting up Ingram whether or not, and this is Ingram Spark for those of you that aren't aware of it. For us children's book authors, Amazon and their hardcover option doesn't apply for most of us, because unless you have 75 pages, you don't qualify for a hardcover. So for those of us that are creating picture books, 32-page, 36-page picture books, then we need other options. And so Ingram Spark has become a really great option for us. It also allows us to set up and distribute that book to other places like Barnes and Noble and Books A Million and Walmart and Target online, right? So that it becomes a distributor. So having that option is wonderful, but when you're setting it up, you get to decide, do you want to accept returns or not? And many will tell you, if you choose not to accept returns, most of the folks like Barnes and Noble or other bookstores won't bring your book in unless some customer requests it and they're going to purchase the book. So it's kind of a difficult situation. If bookstores are your target, you do need to allow returns, but it can come back to bite you. I had one author who had, I think it was a $1,200 charge because Christmas time, they ordered I don't know which bookstore did, but somebody ordered a large volume of her Christmas books. And then at the end, when they didn't sell, they returned them all. And so that was a big charge back on her account. And that can be really frustrating and unnerving. But unfortunately, they don't tell us where it came from.
Right. I did put the no returns, but they did tell me that they go back 180 days. They have 180 days beyond when the day I decided to put no returns.
Right.
And that's 6 months. So, okay. My next question is, the code on the back of the book when you have, again, I'm talking about the hardbound, and I always had one, and I just noticed right now, and it doesn't have any zeros. I always put 000 so that there's not a price on here. But I heard that Barnes and Nobles won't accept your book unless there is a price on it. It's one of these things. So, and now I'm questioning, all I have on this is the ISBN number. What's wrong? I mean, this is my first one. I wanted to see what the hardbound looked like before I ordered, 50 copies. But it doesn't have anything. It doesn't even have my 00 on it. Is that something I should be aware? I mean,
yeah. So I usually, when I'm working with authors, I always recommend putting the price on the book, because there are a number of bookstores that won't bring your book in if it doesn't have a price on the back. So they want the price on the back. They want, at least in the US, a 40% discount has to be set up, and they also want you to have returns. So those are the things I always put together. I have had some authors that tell me that they don't want to set a price because they want to be able to change the price, and so they don't want it on their barcode. So, I mean, that's your prerogative. If you find you're trying to get the book into a bookstore and they don't see that it has that barcode on it, it might end up causing issues later. So I would just put it there as a matter of standard, the same way that there's certain verbiage that you put on your copyright page. Like there's certain things that I just kind of go, yep, need all this. And that's one of them for me.
So should I be concerned though that this one just has it says ISBN number at the top, it has the barcode, and then it has the same thing at the bottom?
I would say just whomever worked on setting up that barcode for you, I would just ask them to replace that and get that replaced, or regenerate a barcode. If you have a PDF editor like Acrobat, sometimes you can just regenerate the barcode and just place it right on top and just save the file. So I do that sometimes myself. If my designers are busy, I'll just go in and do that. So if we're meeting or we're in one of the drop-in sessions and I'm there and we've got some time, just remind me and I'll I'll edit it for you and give you the update for.
Oh, that would be great.
our
Okay.
time. Yeah.
I have two other questions, and one is about, again, I ordered the one book from Ingram, the hardbound, of course, just before I go to order a larger amount.
Yeah.
I'm finding that, you know, we get the premium paper, we get this, and this, and I know now they have a better paper allegedly, right? And it's so dull. The paperback from Amazon, the pictures are glossy and vivid, and I love it, but I'm getting this hardbound book back, and they're the same thing, but the pictures are just, they're dull. They're dull compared to what the, you know, and so, so then I thought, okay, I'd like to then attempt to try, I think it's like $1 more, because I went to the calculator to see with Ingram or print. It's about $1.45 more. And so I'm just wondering, are they getting to, because I remember getting my first book from them, and it was, wow, it was better than Amazon. And I'm finding now that, are they forcing us to go to the next level above the premium color?
I think that there's a few things that can impact the quality of what we see with our Ingram print on demand. First of all is the color scheme, right? So if you've got really bright primary colors, which I think you do have, like greens and lots of bright color,
Right.
you will definitely see that things are muted because there are ink limits involved with when Ingram. Now, I earlier today during my drop-ins, I had an individual who showed me, it was kind of a watercolor look of a style book, and it looked beautiful, and it was gorgeous. The colors were perfect, but it was because of the style of art, didn't need like really saturated colors. So the ink saturation can be an issue, and depending on the color scheme, and sometimes it has to do with how your designer set it up, because if they're not familiar with Ingram Spark and the ink limits and all of that stuff, it can, you know, potentially be not taking into effect the ink limits requirements through Ingram Spark. So there's a little bit of that happens. Now, I think you went through my team, right? For your book, I think you had praise format the book.
No, I didn't.
Okay. So the design, that's, you know, always one factor. The designer really needs to know what they're doing to be able to have nice colors and maximize what Ingram Spark will do. But you do have to know that they have the standard color, which is more muted. Then they have the premium color, which you're going to pay more for. And then they have ultra premium. So obviously it's difficult to have a hardcover, and you know, you're not going to make a whole lot of money, probably a couple of dollars per book when you're doing print on demand. So the reason why I often tell people to start with print on demand is to determine whether or not their book has legs, right? Are people interested in the title? Is it going to sell? Do you have a platform where are you going to be able to drive sales? But there's, you know, a lot of people will say, if you really want to make sure that the quality issue, if you're not happy with what's on Ingram and you're looking to drive down the cost of producing the books, then, you know, looking at printing through an offset printer is another really important decision that you need to make, whether or not you have the budget for it, whether your title is going to be something that will be embraced by the market. It's a difficult question. We're not quite sure. But if you have, if you're going to be doing online, in-person events, you're going to be doing school visits, then perhaps you could even just do both. And then if you're starting to see the sales that you want to, you can continue to increase the number of books that you're printing with an offset printer.
And my last question is, again, Ingram Spark, they have a new thing called e-commerce.
Yes.
And And could you talk about that? Because it sounds good. I mean, if you read part of it, it sounds like, oh, well, your royalties could be, a little larger, and you're letting people buy the book through word of mouth, through your website, through anything, but you don't have any of the distribution, having to do that, or charging you taxes or any of that. Ingram does it all.
Right,
just
Ingram takes care of it all. Yeah, so they allow you to let people, you basically set up a link, you decide what the price is going to be, and you can allow people to purchase direct from Ingram. Now that can mean a lower price for the people that you're delivering this link to. And it can also, you're also not having to worry about paying the middleman in between. So of course, Ingram's going to get their piece, but it gives you a little bit more flexibility. And so, yeah, it's something that can be used for discounts on if people come to you and say, I want, do you offer bulk book pricing? Well, if you want to set up a bulk pricing, you can set up a direct link, and that will help people be able to buy directly through this link that you set up. I love how it looks. It comes together and it says that it was powered by Ingram, but it has your name on it. So, you can send people directly there. And then the information, you don't have to go and fulfill the order. It can be fulfilled directly by Ingram. So I know, Leslie, you've been doing some things with this as well. I'll bring you forward. Did you have anything to add around that link?
My main thing, we set it up, Victoria, April let me set it up last week or 2 weeks ago. What I'm going to use it for, I work at an aquarium and my books are very apropos for it, but they wouldn't buy them because they said I'm too small of a publisher. So with having this Ingram e-commerce, I'm hoping now when I have to go back and reapproach them, it's going to show them that they can just order it from them, and that it's a big enough publisher. If they have a certain amount, it's not me trying to fulfill it or me being the middle man, so to speak. So I'm hoping with things like the gift shop at this aquarium, and it's attached to another aquarium out in Chicago, I'm hoping that's how it's going to help me. That's where I'm kind of looking at it at this point.
Right. And I wanted to share something with you real quick, because I know you're with the beluga whales, right?
Yes.
Okay. I was going on some other like merch, for your books, and this one place called Aurora World, which was recommended to me, AURORA World. And I was looking, of course, for their stuffed animals, but I'm looking for either a box turtle or a penguin or something. They had none of it. And then I looked at the clearance. I thought, oh, maybe I'll find something. Well, what did they have? They had, I think it was like $15 or something, reduced to $7. And that's your little whale there. Whale, yeah. So I thought you could look into it if you wanted to, like, for extra merch at $7 and something. I don't know. It's, but I wanted, I don't know if that was last week. So I don't know if it's still this week, but.
So it was Aurora, AUROA?
World, yes, Aurora World.
Thank you. That always helps. Thanks.
Thank you, April, for all the questions.
All right. Do we have anyone else that has a question? Hi, Carolyn. Welcome. Nice to have you here. Let me just quickly, while you guys are thinking about things, let me just quickly browse through what we've got here on YouTube. So Arafat, welcome. Aaron, love having you here. Barbara, they were all cheering you on and saying you did amazing with that presentation. So good job. Had a question here from Arafat. Do you know why books are being blocked in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nigeria? I don't know about blocked, but I think that when you sign up or you try to get into KDP, certain countries, for one reason or another, they're not being accepted. So if you are from Pakistan, for example, I don't think KDP and Ingram neither will allow you to create an account and to have your books published yourself. I don't know why. I assume it has something to do with the location, but I'm unfortunately I can't comment on that. I think it's, hopefully, I know I've got friends and people in Nigeria who have taken my classes that have been struggling with that as well. and looking for people. And what one of them was able to utilize or work with her sister as a co-author to be able to help set things up with a US-based address instead of Nigeria. And that seemed to help her, but I know it's not for everybody, unfortunately. Let's see, we've got Grammarly, True American Crime Collective is investing in these types of services. It's worth it if you're not going to, is it worth it if you're not going to make any sales? So I would say, you know, if you're going to spend and invest in creating a book, a self-published book, I would say you're going to find a lot of people out there that'll tell you that you can, you know, write your book in a weekend and publish it using PowerPoint, and you can, get $5 images off of people on Fiverr, or you can create things with AI. And what it really boils down to is you end up publishing a very low quality book. There are millions and millions of books being released on Amazon. And if my approach is that we are creating books that are high quality, that can stand up against and beside any traditionally published book, and people wouldn't know the difference. So that's what we are trying to do. And I say, if you are building a brand and you want to create an online brand that people are going to get behind, you need to have that high level of quality. Otherwise, it's never going to sell. So you can save a bunch of money and crank out low quality books, but I just have never seen that be very effective. So I would say that you should consider your budget, and you should budget carefully, but budget nonetheless for a high quality book. You can still have great quality art at a lower price. You don't have to pay $250 a page for an illustration. But I would not recommend a $5 or $10 Fiverr illustration or clip art. It's just do something that's really worth, that you can be proud of. Go ahead, Pat. I see your hand is up.
Just a general question. Under your Amazon listing, under like product details, what's the difference between the ISBN 10 and then underneath it ISBN 13?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I think it's just a different format that has evolved over time. And now I think I don't have all the answers, but it's definitely a different format, and it doesn't really matter. Most of the time, Amazon will use the ISBN 10 to assign your ASIN number if it's a paperback.
Come in.
So it's the same thing?
Yeah. I mean, go ahead, Leslie, you have an answer?
I think, well, like when I did Reader's Favorite, I think this is one of the things, like when I was listing the book and saying how it was on Amazon, I had to use the 10-digit one, not the 13-digit, for my book to be then linked with
the
the
ASIN. Yeah,
the
'cause it
reviews,
uses
the
that for the
ASIN. Yeah,
ASIN.
not the 13. That's all I know about it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
13, I believe, is international.
International. Good. Thank you, Debbie. Great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You guys teach me some stuff every now and again. Go ahead, Sherilyn.
Hi, April.
Hey there.
A couple of questions that I think are quick. We are at the end of our pre-order tonight, and I wanted to know how we changed the price on KDP to the $9.99. Do I just go in and change the price?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. You just go on into your pricing page and then update the price there, and just make sure that you go through and click publish. But while you're here, I'll give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about your book, because I saw this beautiful bestseller badge when I was in there today. So you're one of my newest best-selling authors. Why don't you talk a little bit about the book for those maybe that don't know about it already?
So I enrolled in April's course at the recommendation of an author friend. It was a wonderful suggestion, and I did not publish in 90 days. Not anything to do with April, definitely on our end, but we are now publishing. And so we had our launch this week. We had a 99-cent special for the last 2 days. We've written a book. Myself and my co-author, who work with a nonprofit organization to protect young children from hearing loss due to loud sound. And we found in our educational outreach work that there were no materials for working with young kids. And so we wrote a book, and it's targeted at 4 to 8-year-olds. And it's an adventure, a superhero adventure about a superhero who flies through an ear canal to protect little tiny hair cells from being damaged by loud music. And it's a fun read. Our illustrator did a beautiful job. I was super nervous about the whole process of launching, and we've sold almost 150 books on our pre-order since Monday.
Ooh, nice,
So we're super excited about that, and we did reach bestseller #1 new release in all of the categories that we applied. So we did superhero adventure story, we did children's safety, and we did music, both general music and nonfiction music. So that was surprising, but very happy, for us. And now we're going to be releasing the soft cover on Amazon.
Did you see that you also have the bestseller banner now? You are a bestseller.
No, I don't know that I did.
Yes, I'm going to show you. Let me find it. I even screenshotted it for you, Carolyn. So let me go to Amazon, and we'll pull it up. But yes, you have a bestseller. And, some people were asking me, can you become a bestseller on Amazon even before your book launches? And the answer is absolutely yes, you can. And this is a perfect, so launching and using this launch strategy that we've perfected here with ebook launches first, and doing a 99-cent ebook launch, really engaging with a launch team, can really help you get there. Hero saves the day. Let me pull it up so you guys can see that, yes, indeed, this is bestseller, and you can take your little, see, bestseller, you got your bestseller badge there. And when we go in here, this book does not release until October 1st. So it is a #1 bestseller. And when we look down at the things, we've got 3 different #1 best-selling categories here for your book, Sherilyn.
Yeah, it's
Great
super
job.
exciting. Yeah, thank
Great
you.
job.
Thank you. We hope that we're going to be able to reach many, many young families and educators with this important hearing health information. We had a couple of short questions. We applied for a Reader's Choice Award. I think that was
Is it Reader's Favorite?
Is it Reader's Favorite? And we got back a 5-star award. They asked for fee, and it was okay. The first paragraph was sort of just a repeat of the book, lacking proper details, but that was okay. And the second part was was definitely a recommendation. They ask for author feedback about the review. And I wanted to just ask your thoughts about that. Is that worthwhile doing? Is it better not to do that? And
I
is
think
it
it's
worth?
good. Yeah, I think it's good.
Okay. And is it worth applying in a different category? Because this author seemed to miss the fact that it was an educational book as well. We applied in children's picture books.
Okay.
But I'm wondering if it might be worthwhile to reapply in a different category.
You could, I mean, so let me go back to the first question was, should you reply back? First of all, for those of you who aren't familiar with Reader's Favorite, one of the reasons why I recommend that It is readersfavorite.com. They do allow you to request a free review of your book. If you decide that you want to expedite the review, because that could take 12 weeks to get the free review, right? But if you expedite the review and pay a $60 fee, you can have that review, that editorial review, turned around within a couple of weeks. So that gives you the ability to then take those quotes and put them on the back of your book, put them in editorial things. And if you end up with a 5-star, which none of my authors should be getting anything less than 5 stars, then you have a nice medallion that you can put on your front cover of a 5-star ranking from Reader's Favorite. So I love all of that, because then you have that sense of, this book is special, it's got a special award, and you get this commentary from someone from Reader's Favorite who has gone through and reviewed your book. Now, reviewers are human, they miss things. So if one of the things that they're asking for is feedback on the review that you've received, so that it can help them flag any issues with particular reviewers, or allow them to continue to improve on the process. So by by you replying, saying, I would have liked it if they would have talked about the educational aspect of the book, or if a reviewer maybe makes an incorrect statement or didn't really give you anything of value that you could use as part of your review, then I would make comments about that. And if they did a great job, then I would say that as well, because that's going to help them with continuing to give feedback to their reviewers as well.
The second paragraph was better. I mean, that piece of it was better. It was the first part was disappointing. I felt like I was reading a middle school synopsis of my book that wasn't particularly accurate.
Right. Right.
Okay. But that's okay. And then my last quick question was, we pre-ordered soft cover and hardcover proofs from Ingram on the 19th. Adele received hers yesterday.
Oh, good. How was it?
She said something very similar to the person earlier who was talking about their disappointment in the saturation and
color. Yep, the color level.
Yeah, she said if we hadn't received the soft cover of the Amazon one, it might not have been as obvious.
Right.
So she said the colors were okay. We did have a concern though about the cover. Seems as if it's been zoomed in on. So there are pieces of our illustration only on the front and back cover, not in the internal files, that show less of the picture around the border. Nothing that is terrible, but it isn't the full illustration, so on our cover we have 3 little kids in the lower right hand corner, and instead of showing them from like their waist up, it shows them from like chest up.
Okay.
And on the back it has our little marching band people almost cutting off their feet because the grass underneath them doesn't show.
Yeah.
And so is that a praise?
Well, what I'd like to do is have her take a picture of that and send it over, and copy me and copy your designer.
Okay.
But yeah, let's take a look at it. Obviously, when you see the full cover image, there is a border, a thing that is trimmed off.
Right.
So
it didn't get trimmed off on the Amazon one.
Okay. Well, this is the hardcover. Don't forget, Amazon didn't do a hardcover. So
and I didn't ask for if it was all.
There's a bit of wrapping and of trim that's going to happen.
Okay.
If we need to adjust the size of the cover and the illustration there, that is something that the designer could do. Now, it could very well be an error, a print error, or a cropping error of some sort. So once we see that and we send that over to the designer, she'll be able to tell us whether or not it's anything that she can do on her side to fix, or if we need to, if we could potentially, there could be an issue with the printing itself.
Okay. Okay, so I think those were the other things. Oh, and then one last question about ISBNs.
Mhm,
I'm working with Denise on finishing up our media kits.
mhm.
And we wanted to list all of the ISBN numbers on it. And so for the hardcover and the soft cover, we're set. That's very clear. But
Right.
I purchased two separate ISBN numbers for the ebooks.
Right. One you can list as Kindle and one you can list as EPUB.
EPUB, that's what we didn't
Right.
know.
Yep.
That was what we needed. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, that answered that. And that's not available though yet, correct? Because we haven't done that.
No, what we'll use for the EPUB will when we set up Draft to Digital and we blast it out past Amazon, that's
Okay.
when we'll use that EPUB.
That's what I thought you had told me, but I wasn't sure if I should be putting both of them on the media kit or not. And so
Well, you can absolutely put both of them on there. It won't be an issue. You might as well have better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it kind of thing. But because eventually you will be going wide with your, once that 90-day period is over,
Right.
maybe you'll decide let's try to get it onto Apple Books and Google Books and things like that. And those require the EPUB format.
Okay. The other thing, just as a heads up for people who are going to be doing launches, one of the things that I found out, and maybe it's just the people on our mailing list, on our launch list, skewed older, but I can't tell you how many emails I received saying I don't own a Kindle. Can I still buy the book?
Yeah, I know it's very often, yes, we hear that.
So I did a lot of emailing to people over the last couple of days,
Yeah.
talking about free apps.
Yeah. And maybe there's in the templates we shared with you, maybe we should do like FAQs, like here are some common questions.
It was
That might be a good one. All right, so I'm going to answer questions here from Mr. Reborn on Amazon. Well, he has an answer for us too. He said the ISBN 10 hasn't been in use since 2007. Now it's been replaced with the 13. So that's great. But Amazon uses it as the ASIN at times. So that's why, Leslie, you talked about, oh, I needed to use that other one. It just happens that that's what Amazon used as the ASIN number for that. But Mr. Reborn asks, what's the deal with Amazon ads and how should one treat them when releasing a book? Should you run it for a month of ads or what? So let's talk about that. And then I'm going to disconnect from YouTube and then we'll continue to move forward with the rest of the folks here. So my recommendation, let's take Sherilyn, for example, and her book. She's launched her ebook, goes live on October 1st. And then her print book is going to be launching shortly after that. When on the 1st, when her ebook goes live, we're going to be reaching out to her audience, her launch team again, and saying, okay, the book is live now, go read it and review it. And so we've got an engaged launch team. And, for some people, they call them ARC teams or street teams, book launch teams, whatever you call them. These are the people that are helping you and are invested in helping you to get the word out about your book. In our case, they purchased a 99-cent ebook. They've agreed to go and read the book and then provide an honest review on Amazon. So on the 1st, when that happens, the reviews will be pushed forward. And then the following week, when the print book launches, because the print and ebook is connected, all of those reviews that come in are going to be connected to the print book. So it's going to already have reviews even before it ever launches. So the reason why when you ask about Amazon ads, I start talking about reviews is that I don't recommend anybody does anything with Amazon ads until you at least have double-digit reviews, 10, 15 reviews, because otherwise, and I know for me, if I see a book that's brand new and has no reviews or one review, I'm not gonna get any information about whether or not this is a good book. So I want some history and I want to know what other people thought of the book before I buy it. So I wouldn't recommend wasting money on running ads until you actually have double-digit reviews. So make sure you're coordinating with your people, get those reviews out there. And then once you've got that, my recommendation is to be very intentional with your Amazon ads. Use them out of the gate, do an automatic ad, get things going, just allow Amazon to put it in front of the people that it thinks it should be in front of. Also, a second ad that focuses on books similar to yours. So if there are some competitors that or books similar to yours, if people like these books, they'll like my book, then have one that highlights all of those. And then a third one that targets the keywords. And you can start by using the keywords that you've put into your 7 keyword phrases. Now, Publisher Rocket released something that will help you reverse engineer some of your competitor books, even to take a look at what keywords are working well for them. So you can add some additional keywords from there, right? But the most important thing is to get indexed. And by running ads when you're launching a new book, you're getting visibility, you're driving traffic. And that's not the only thing you need is visibility and traffic, but you need those two things to wrap up and actually get sales, because when somebody searches, clicks on your book, and then buys your book, that tells Amazon that your book is a valid choice and it's applicable to that keyword. So being indexed for those keywords, ads will help expedite all of that, and it will help continue to drive traffic. Amazon loves driving traffic and continuing to move things forward. At first, you're going to want to invest, it's going to be an investment in ads. You're going to invest in some money for the first probably 2 months. You're going to be investing and getting yourself indexed and getting your visibility out there. And then once the 2 months goes through, usually in month 3, you start to see that you're actually making some profit. So that's kind of the approach that I typically use for it. And so that we'll go from there. For anybody else who's got more questions on YouTube, feel free to go ahead and post them. I will answer those questions. But for now, we're going to say goodbye for today. I hope you'll come back. We do this every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Come and join me live, post your questions, or join us on Zoom and come and ask your questions in person. I will say goodbye for now, and thank you for joining. Have a wonderful day. Hold on, guys. Let me just